is Faith and Fame with your host, Brittney Q Hill, and I'm joined by actor, author, motivational speaker, poet. What else don't you do? Monti Washington.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to talk about everything you have going on. First, you have a new role on BET's Games People Play.
Yeah.
Tell us about your role.
Oh man. First off, it's a blessing first and foremost. I play a cop, Terrence Abrams. I'm the love interest to one of the lead females, Karen O'Bloom. She's her character's name is Nia. It's absolutely amazing. It's such a blessing. It's such a dope show. Just see the beautiful thing about this. So how all this ties into the Faith and Fame is, in October I had one of those moments, one of those down moments where I was almost going into depression because here I am, massively successful with the speaking, but that whole year acting and speaking they're both my love. It's like having two kids. You can't say which one you love more. You love them both. And speaking has been so good, but acting I've been missing out on a lot of stuff. And all of 2018. I've been on a veil, and I was on hold for national commercials, for feature films,
I know that feeling.
For guest stars, where it's just like, so I keep coming in second. I'm like, yo. And then October, I just went through this part where I don't know, everything hit me because I'm always giving, and I realized nobody was necessarily pouring back into me.
Yeah.
And my fiance, she lives in another country, so we're doing a long distance. So it's like, you live in a bachelor lifestyle, but you got married man rules.
Yeah.
So it's just like, to stay out of trouble, I just don't go out. You know what I mean? And you find yourself in isolation. And I was just like, man, I put so much into, I've been here for 6 years chasing this dream.
Yeah.
And I've gotten close so many times, but nothing is stuck.
Same.
Yeah, so you know it's just
I
that
know
frustration.
exactly
it's
what
that
you're saying.
frustration. So I just kind of went into this depression with some stuff, and I'll go into my background a little bit. And I just surrendered.
Well, since we're here, let's go ahead and talk about your story, because as a motivational speaker, you've earned the name Motivation because you are known for showing people that they don't look what they look, their story. They don't look like their story.
Exactly.
So tell us your story.
Okay, briefly, there's so much to it. Let me try to keep it short. Pretty much just a walk-in stereotype. Any stereotypical thing that happens to a black kid has happened to me. I was conceived in a hotel room. My mother was a prostitute and she was a drug addict. I never knew my dad. I doubt he even knows I exist. And because of everything my mother was going through with her drug addiction, me and my two younger brothers, we lived in poverty the majority of our life. I'm talking about sleeping in parks for weeks and weeks at a time. We slept in crack houses. We religiously slept in different homeless shelters, slept in abandoned buildings, slept in people's driveways. During the winter, and till eventually got so bad with her drug addiction that we got taken away, Child Protective Services, and we got put in group homes. Now, I was in 12 different group homes over the course of 3 years.
Wow.
So imagine being that young where you're trying to, build your own identity, find out who you are, and constantly being in different situations. Like, it was crazy. Then I got put in foster homes, and that's when some of the worst things have happened. My first foster parent physically abused me and my brothers. She used to make us grip the back of a chair, and we used to get our knuckles and hands beat with a broomstick, a wire hanger, because she was teaching us not to touch things that didn't belong to us.
Wow.
Because she had her kids and she had us, so if anything came up broke or missing, she would just assume it was us. So I got a couple scars on my knuckles from that, and for many years my hands used to be really unsteady. So I got taken out of that. Second foster mom never got physically abused, but this is something I think a lot of people out there might be able to identify with. We have this misconception that our physical abuse, that's what leaves its greatest impact on us. These wounds heal. My hands are okay. The scars have healed, but it's the mental ones.
Right.
It's the scars we keep here and the ones we hold here that stay with us into our adulthood, right? And so she never physically abused me and my brothers, but about a week in, my little brother dropped a glass bowl, broke. She cussed us out and put us in this back room of the house. Now, I just told you where I come from. I went from sleeping in crack houses to this foster home. It's in the suburbs, this beautiful 5-bedroom house. You ain't got roaches everywhere. You got lights, there's actual food and refrigerator. And she put me and my brothers in the back room of the house, and I was like, we in trouble. So I thought that was it. Little did I know that for the next few months, we'd be in that room for about 23 hours a day on average.
Wow.
Yeah, and she would just, we were only allowed to come out to eat and sometimes on a weekend to play. And it was just like imagining going through that. And to make matters worse, she fed us this false narrative. So when I talk about we don't look like our story, this feeds into that, right? Whatever your story is, whether it's true or false is irrelevant. So even if everything I'm telling you is a lie, but if you believe it, that's what matters.
Right.
If somebody gives you a story about yourself, that's what matters. So she fed this false narrative that you so dumb, you so stupid. Like I got called stupid so many times, I thought it was my name. Where somebody would say, hey, stupid, and I was like, oh, in my mind, I would relate it to Monty, right? And because of that, I was in special ed classes until 8th grade because I believed I was stupid.
Wow.
And I had no learning disabilities like whatsoever. But what makes matters worse, and this was probably one of the toughest points in my childhood and one of those pivotal moments that literally changed people forever, I got suicidal. Because it's like, you know, the story. My own mom, she didn't want me. First foster mother physically abused me. Now this woman's telling me, you know, you ain't nothing, you so dumb, you so stupid, y'all so dumb. And I tried to commit suicide on 2 separate occasions. Luckily I got help, and I had what I would like to call, and what I would like everybody to have, when you're going through those really rough times in your life like that, you gotta have what I call a courageous conversation. Those are the conversations that take courage to have, to tell somebody, hey, I'm getting abused at home, to get with a therapist, to get with a counselor, to open up about those things. And because I was able to do that, I got help, I got counseling, got therapy, and I was no longer suicidal. Then we got put in the last foster home and things were better. And this was about the end of 8th grade, going into high school.
Wow.
I mean, in between all of that, it would be going back to my mom. So it was a lot of that. It was going back and forth.
So your mom was still in the picture?
It would go back and forth.
Okay.
Sometimes group home, sometimes mom and all that stuff. But it would always be the same thing. She'd be clean for a little bit. We'd go back into her custody, and then something would happen. We'd get abandoned. I remember eating ketchup packages. So my boys in high school I used to hoop, they always used to clown me like, Monty loves ketchup, because I used to carry a ketchup package in my pocket like religiously, and they used to just clown me all the time.
That was your food?
Yeah, that was my food.
Ate.
My boys didn't know that because I didn't, what I'm sharing with you now, I'm open now. But for the longest I was ashamed of it, so I didn't share it. But growing up, when my mom would abandon us, we'd go to like a little liquor store or whatever, go in the condiment section, and we take packages of ketchup, you know, because us, we thought that was free. And we just eat packages of ketchup, or we get some bread and have a ketchup sandwich. And so as I started to process all of that trauma throughout life, I used to just keep a package of ketchup to remind me where I came from. I was like, no matter what you're going through, like, you're grateful, be grateful, because you gotta, like, this is all you used to eat. I just remember doing that, like, and then for the longest, I couldn't do ketchup for a while. Like,
of course.
It was just like that taste, and
you
know, we used to just eat peanut butter on a spoon from the food banks, and so all those things until I got to my last foster home. And luckily, I don't know what happened. I don't know, it's a blessing from the higher power or whatever, but like once I got in my last foster home, I realized I had 4 years. Like, I'm gonna graduate out. Like, they're probably not gonna keep us. So I got 4 years to do something with my life, and I just made a decision. I don't think it was consciously, but I think it was subconsciously. To kind of do something with my life. And so from all of that, I ended up going to high school, graduating one of the tops of my class, winning a state championship, being a McDonald's All-American honorable mention, going to college, not getting 1 but 2 college degrees, graduating magna cum laude, able to write the book, and all this other crazy stuff I'm sure we're gonna get into. Yeah, and so it goes back to we don't look like our story. So we asked that. You look at me now, the way I carry myself, the way I speak, by looking at me, you would never have thought that I've gone through those things. Why? Because we don't look like our story.
Right. How did your faith play a role in all that?
Oh man, that's a great question. I guess there was moments. Oh my goodness.
What was that defining, that pivotal moment that you can recall where maybe the first time you cried out to God? That's beautiful. Cried out. Funny thing is, when you grow up in that environment as a kid, when that's all you don't know that it's wrong. You just think it's life. Right.
So I had some moments that kind of led up. It was like, we'd sleep in parks, right? At first as a kid, we sleeping outside in the park. It's fun, right? But then you see the other kids going home. And it's like, okay, that's not right. Then living in Arizona, people used to keep a carpet on their driveway so the oil didn't stain the concrete. And I remember us sleeping underneath there because we had nowhere to go to keep warm. And I just remember laying there, and I was maybe like 11 years old, and it was the first time I was like, this isn't right. Like, this isn't right. And I think I was saying like a little prayer. I was talking to the higher power, I just wasn't consciously aware of it. Then I think after that, once we got taken to my mother's custody and we got put in that last foster home, I just remember I had issues with my confidence, and we're gonna get into that a little more. But I just remember it was a basketball game. My ball was life. And
Right.
I was just garbage.
You
right?
were?
I was garbage. Not because, no, I had the skills and everything, but my confidence was so shook. And I just remember after a big game, because I was on varsity since a freshman, and I just let the team down, I just remember crying. I'm talking about ugly cry, not those thug tears when one rolls down.
Right.
No, I'm talking about like ugly Viola Davis, Oscar-winning ugly cry, right? And I just remember like, God, you know what's up? And just praying and just praying and praying. I was like, oh, whoa. It was my first real just cry out. And after that, it was just kind of build a little by little, always, you know, thank you, God. Just kind of have that relationship, going to church on and off, but it was just really having these conversations with God on a consistent basis. That was the first time. And then just periodically throughout life, always coming back when things get too hard. So now I'm at the points where I want to keep it consistent, because it's easy to cry out for a higher power, cry out for God when things are horrible. But when things are good, are you giving praise? Are you showing love? Right. So now I've got it more of a consistent thing through the good, through the bad, to the points where I'm even grateful for the bad and for the hard times, because they make space for the great times, right?
You mentioned something about identity. Was it your faith that kind of maybe shifted your identity in terms of thinking that you were stupid or dumb?
Both. So one thing I always believe, you know, faith, what is it? I don't want to misquote, but you know, faith without works
is dead.
Is that like it's nothing. So it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pray for something good to happen, but then you do nothing. So crying out, it was all subconscious. Now I can articulate it, but crying out, I was just like, I didn't like being dumb. I didn't like being a stupid kid. I got into high school 4 grades behind everybody else.
Wow.
Tested 4 grades behind, but I stayed after tutoring. I asked for help. I was always a popular, cool dude and stuff, but I wasn't afraid to be like, yo, I don't know, I don't get this. So I think it was a part of that, putting in work on the court, putting in work in the classroom, and just building all that up. And this constant, all right, God, this is what I'm given.
Yeah.
Like, I was very consciously aware that I had 4 years to do something, because like only 1% of former foster youth ever graduate from college. And when you age out, a lot of them just end up on the streets. Like, to get where I'm at now, it's a complete blessing. So luckily, I was woke enough and consciously aware of, I got 4 years to do something with my life.
Yeah.
Like, to be in a stable environment where there's some semblance of love and just some organization.
Yeah.
Like, because it was constantly a lack of consistency in my life. So I think it was just, subconsciously that faith, just building, just knowing, all right, God, I'm gonna do this. All right. And then also, people, when your faith is like shaky, like, go back, think back to how many times we thought we were gonna fail. I didn't how I didn't know I was gonna eat, how I didn't know I was gonna pay my rent, how I didn't know I was gonna help feed my little brothers, how was I gonna get out of this, help my mom, because she dated a bunch of bums and, you know, abusing her. And, you know, one time I had to stop my mother from getting raped, took a brick, hit the dude. It was crazy. Like, you summon strength. You find a way to summon your strength and rely on that faith at the hardest times. But humans, we so stubborn. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be put in a all or nothing situation to call upon that faith. And when you look back at it, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. We get through it. You just if people just write down, every time I thought I was gonna fail, I wasn't gonna eat, I wasn't gonna pay rent, you got through it.
Right.
So you just remember that the next time you're in that situation, and that's what I think faith is. Yeah. It's just remembering, like, yo, you got through this once, you're gonna get through it again. And also, like, if you keep going through the same thing, you're doing something wrong, boo-boo.
True. Hold that, because I want to stay on identity.
Right.
Being an entertainer and working in Hollywood, how important is it to know who you are and know your identity in Christ in Hollywood?
How important? I don't even know if I have words to like say that.
Furthermore, how do you separate the man of God from the artist? Because oftentimes in Hollywood, we're placed in positions where we may be presented with roles that might require us to compromise our integrity. How do you separate those two?
Well, I mean, there's so many different ways to look at God and religion and faith and all that stuff. My thing is love. If it's not rooted in love, if love is not the center of that, then I don't know what you believe. I don't know if we're praying to the same God.
Yeah.
Mine comes from a position of love. So if anything, if I get to a place, any role that compromises me or challenges my identity as a man of God and a man who operates from a position of love, then it's not for me. It's that simple. If I have to, there's compromising your integrity as far as like you got to do something shady to get the role, But as far as the role, you're an artist. We
True.
playing pretend. You know what I'm saying? Somebody may need to see what you're about to put on screen or on stage to help them go through something.
Right.
So my thing is just love. My identity is love. Like I operate from that because you're gonna operate from. I believe you're gonna operate from love, hate, and fear. And it's really love and fear because I believe hate comes from the unknown. It comes from fear because we don't know.
True.
When I travel a lot and I deal with people who dealing with racism and bigotry and all that stuff, it's like the people who hate people who look like you or me the most are the people who have the least amount of contact with people like you and me. The people who hate those who are part of the LGBTQ plus community are the ones who may not have family members, they have no connection. So it comes from fear, it comes from hate. And as far as identity goes, it's like, you already know how it is. You go into that room, now I'm at a point where I can go in a room as me, unapologetically.
It takes a while to get there. It takes a while to get to that
taken me
point.
6.5 years.
Trust me,
I wouldn't have gotten this role when
Yeah.
games people play if I didn't go in there like that. Because for the longest, it's like, what do you want me to be? Not here, this is what I am.
Now, question. Do you feel like if you had gotten that role and had a chance to prepare it, it wouldn't have been the same outcome?
I'm not, you talk about faith, things turned out the best way.
Yeah.
I didn't plan them. God's plans are always bigger than ours, so I leave it at that. Who knows, I might have been more prepared, whatever, but I mean, that wasn't my role.
Yeah.
And when you watch the show, my dude, he does a great job in the role. That's literally his role, and this role is for me. Like Terrence Abrams, the idea of a cop, the kind of man he is so much closer to my truth than the other one. The other character, basketball player, play all that stuff, that's like, I could do that because I'm an actor, but closer to my truth and who I am is who I got. You know, it's what I got. And going in there with that identity, and I think it's like, God's gonna play tricks on us. Like, you gotta like, I don't know if you ever got like a younger niece or nephew, you gotta trick them to do stuff that you wanna do.
Yeah,
it's like, it's time to go to bed. Like, yo, I'm gonna give you this, you know. I think God be messing with us sometimes, like, yo, you may overthink roles and auditions. You may be getting too anxious going in for auditions. So I'm gonna put you at the very last second.
Wow.
So you don't have time to think. So you're gonna have to rely on your God-given gifts to make this happen. Because otherwise, 100%. Like, and it's just like we get in our own way so often.
Yeah.
So I believe like God is like, I'm gonna get you out the way. I'm gonna take away the speaking gig that was about to pay you a lot of money that you needed at the time. You go feel some kind of way.
Right.
I will bring this opportunity into place for you, and you've already prepared, which is why it's taking you 6.5 years because you weren't ready for it until then.
Right.
And now you got it, and now I'm ready. And I look at it. Operating on set is different.
Yeah.
When you're on set for a day, it's different from when you're on set for a few months. You're working with different directors. You see how much money and time, especially a new show. I'm not jumping on trend on a show that's established. This is a new show. Everything is a make or break. You may not get a second season. The goal is to get 5, 10 seasons, right? And everybody is putting it together. Everybody has a part to play. And I don't want to drop the ball on my part.
Right.
But because my faith and I'm so rooted in who I am and my identity is so clear. It is so clear now. I know I just got a job to do. It ain't about me. It ain't about me showing up on screen. It's about serving the work, serving the character, serving the production, because there's so many people behind the scenes that put in so much more work than me to make this possible for me to even be able to share my talents with the world.
Yeah.
So it's knowing it's not about you, it's bigger than you.
So speaking of faith, why do you feel that so many people in Hollywood who share the same faith as us don't want to talk about their relationship with God? Why do you feel like it's such a, not a secret, but people are almost ashamed to talk about it?
You know, it's two different things. So I do see people who are ashamed about it, and then some people try not to rub. Because I always get that. It's never a shame, but it's always me being absolutely open, but then being respectful of other people's beliefs.
Right.
And sometimes when you're a man of God, a woman, you know, we can be on fire. You know what I'm saying? And if we can keep it real, at least people who believe what I believe in God, Jesus Christ, a lot of them are very judgmental.
Yes.
A lot of them are very judgmental, and nobody wants to be judged.
Right.
So if you can occupy a space like, this is what I believe in, this is the God I believe in, if you believe in another one, whatever, do what you do, as long as we can share this space in a respectful manner, I'm good with that. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. It's like, oh, you're not that? Okay, I can't mess with you.
Do you feel like we as believers have a responsibility to show it more
You know
than
what?
we do?
Yeah, you just gotta, I think it's a time and place for everything. So through my work and everything, I'm gonna do that. Opportunities like this, I'm going to do that. Interviews, I'm going to do that. You know, it's you gotta pick your place. It's a difference between sharing it and forcing it.
Yeah.
It's literally like, oh, we in a conversation, I'm gonna bring up God, I'm gonna bring up my faith, because that's such a part of who I am. It's just gonna come up naturally. I don't have to press it, but also don't have to thrust it upon you.
Yeah.
You know?
What's off limits for you when it comes to your faith and your artistry? Is there anything that you won't do, or are there any deal breakers when it comes to your work and your faith?
As long as I don't have to compromise myself to get the work.
Okay.
You know, there's some roles I prefer not to do just because they're not for me. But as long as I don't have to compromise myself, because I've been approached. I mean, you're a beautiful woman. You know how it is. Like, there's always an ulterior motive, especially with women.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you want this role? What you gonna do?
Very
Unfortunately,
true.
Unfortunately, the industry. There's a lot of, I was talking to Tracy Edmonds, who's executive producer of the show, one of the most lovely individuals ever. And I was asking her, I was like, for you to be as beautiful as a woman, as successful and stuff, how are you so humble and nice and warm in this light? And long story short, she was just like, there's a lot of dark energy in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
And there was a point to where I could be much further than where I'm at, but I didn't want to compromise myself. So I had to be okay with the fact that, hey, if I don't go any further, I'm okay, because I don't want to compromise myself. So once she said that, I was like, okay, she gets it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. A lot of people do it. And I've struggled for years. Like, I know my peers who started in the same position, and I'm aware of some of the stuff they did to go up, you know, both on a sexual level, both on a compromising their faith level, both on some unethical stuff level. And it's just like, God, you know.
It's so prevalent for women, especially. I've lost count with how many times I've been in that position, but you really have to just take a look at yourself, at your character and what you're willing to compromise and not. But I commend you for that.
Yeah, you don't want to. What's the point of getting in the world if you lose your soul in the process?
Absolutely.
It's silly. So it's just you just got to know. And also, and this goes back to faith, and this goes God's plan is always bigger than ours.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to say this or articulate this if when I moved to LA 6.5 years ago, all these blessings came. Because I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
I would have wanted it so bad that I might have compromised myself in certain areas. It happens to a lot of younger people.
Yeah.
They get you while you're young. So that's why I'm so glad that it's taken me. I turned 33 in May. It's taken me so long. I got here when I was, 25 or something like that? And it's taken me so long to get here. I wasn't mature enough, able to handle it, able to carry myself in the manner that I am now. Like, I'm good. Like, my faith is so strong. My identity is so rooted that I know I'm gonna get where I want to get.
Right.
Like, it's not if, it's just when.
So staying on the topic of identity, and you mentioned you do coaching, for those who don't know their identity already, how would you coach them into finding what that is?
There's a lot. One thing is, first of all, your identity needs to be rooted in your faith. You know that better than anyone. When you're looking on the outside for everything, you're gonna get confused. One of the biggest things I run into, like, I get on 100 flights a year. I've probably worked with over 1 million people. You talking about speaking on stage and all of that. And the biggest thing is they have no idea who they are. Because we live in a culture of comparison and people are so glued to their phones, they're not taking time to be with themselves. Like, I don't know if you ever remember, and when I look for this, you used to go into a coffee shop and people are just waiting. They doing this, looking around. People can't do this. They in traffic. You so glued to your phone, you have no time to spend time by yourself.
Right.
So it starts with your morning routine. So one of my morning routines is I won't get on social media for the first hour of my day.
That's beautiful.
Because I'm so empathetic, I'm so open and receptive to those messages that if I see something negative or hurtful, it can spiral the rest of the day. So I make sure I do my prayer, my meditation, my journaling, all the stuff that I do first to get myself at a base level, right? Then I just that meditation and prayer, spend a little time alone, spend a little time with God, changes everything.
Imperative, you have to do that.
Yo, like, people don't understand that time is so pivotal, but people are so afraid of their own thoughts.
Yeah.
They're afraid of, like, okay, what am I really thinking? So we're looking on the outside of who we are.
Yeah.
And one of the things, confidence, because I've struggled with that identity, especially being an actor and an actress in Hollywood. Like, there's so many times you're not even going in as yourself. You're going in as the character. You're going in what you think the cast and director wants you to be as. And all the greatest things in my life have come when I was just me.
Wow.
When I have just come, like, when I've
Same.
literally, like,
I can agree to that.
Like, when I just come, like, the success of the show is gonna be because you're Britt, not because you some Oprah this, you that. That's why people want. They want you. And so many people are afraid of that. And it's like, there's a couple of things I always say. Not being yourself is identity theft. Like, being anything other than what you're supposed to be is a crime, because not being yourself is identity theft. So you got to take some time to learn about yourself. Like, I spend so much time alone, like, an annoyance. Like, so much time alone when you start answering your own questions to yourself. You
But
need to
that's
get out a
also
little
good,
bit.
though.
No, it's
good to spend time to yourself.
100%. You get to learn about yourself, and I'm like, because before I always needed somebody.
Yeah.
But then being in a long distance relationship and remaining faithful in that relationship, you can't be going out and stuff as much. So I just find that time alone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I know what I want, I know what I don't want. And there's when you have that lack of identity, you allow yourself to be open to your environment. And if you come in an environment like Hollywood, it can be a very toxic environment. And when you don't know who you are, you leave yourself to be shaped by your environment or the people within that environment. And that's why you got to know who you are. And one of the ways is FLY, fly. First love yourself.
I remember that.
You gotta first love yourself. Because so many people think we got to get love from somebody else. It's like,
true.
It cracks me up in people in relationships, because I got a couple of my life coaching clients. I do, some relationship coaching, and it's just like, he don't know or she don't know. Bruh, you don't know. Like, how can you expect somebody to make somebody else responsible for your happiness is selfishness on your part.
Absolutely.
You can't do that. You got to be so comfortable with yourself. Like my man Kanye, old Kanye, pre-Kardashian Kanye, he had a line in one of his songs. He said, I could be by myself and enjoy the company.
Absolutely.
When you get to that point, like, I love me so much, the only reason me and my significant other worked is because I met a woman who didn't need me.
Right.
I met a woman who was so into who she is, and what she's doing and what she's about in the world, that it was like, I'm gonna add to it. Like, people don't understand. We date at our self-esteem level.
Yeah, you have to have two wholes, not halves. When people say you're my better half, it don't work that way. You know.
You fill me up. You complete me. So hold up, you ain't complete.
You have to be whole before you can't make somebody else complete. That's nobody's job but God. So.
It's nobody. It's God, and it's to work on you. God gave us everything we need, even the stuff we think is hurtful and the trauma and the pain. It goes back to that we don't look like our story. And it's we have this misconception in society as a whole that everything we experience forms us. Like, our story forms us. It doesn't. It informs us. Like, I want to challenge people's belief. Like, your experiences don't form who you are. They inform who you are. Because if that's the case, how can a kid who was abused in foster homes, who was suicidal, whose mother was on drugs, who was beaten, how could I come out so positive? All those negative experiences gave me information. How do I not want to feel? How do I not want to make somebody else feel? You got to think about everything I've experienced in my life. I don't care if you've been raped, if you've been discarded, if you've been abused. You got to think about, how did that make me feel? That was all information. And guess what? If you're still breathing, that means you survived. If you survived, that means you're strong enough. If you're strong enough, that means that faith comes from something higher. So you gotta remember all of that. Like, I'm here for a reason.
Right.
And once you get to that point, and my activity I do is the I'm the ish activity. We ain't gonna cuss, but
Keep it PG.
Yeah, right. We keep it PG. I'm the ish. Like, what makes you you? It's not because of what you accomplished. It's because of what you've overcome. Like, I'm not who I am today because of what I've accomplished, because you already know, anytime you're striving for success, you're never really happy with your accomplishments.
Right.
You move on to the next, but your confidence in yourself, which helps you with your identity in yourself, because of what you've overcome. You've gone through X, Y, Z, but you still survive. You're still here. You're still trying. You haven't given up. So it's not because of what you've accomplished. It's because of what you overcome. Because the truth is, we don't connect to our success. We connect to our mess. Not everybody feels like that's success, but everybody been through some mess.
Yeah.
So once we realize we all connect through that, and our identity is in us, instead of looking for other people to create and warp our identity for us, it's like they just as messed up and jacked up and lost as the rest of us.
Right.
So you got to find that. You got to go to the source.
Your creator. Wow.
You got to go to the source.
Good. That was really good.
We dropping gems. I hope people picking it up. You know what I mean?
They better be. So wait. So every episode, I like to do something called Faith in It, where I like to highlight something or someone in Hollywood that's making moves or causing a lot of a conversation right now. So I want to speak on Nipsey Hussle, who we know unfortunately lost his life a couple of weeks ago. Tragic event, but a lot of people weren't aware of what he was bringing to not only hip hop, but just society and his community. And so my question for you is, how do you feel about the legacy he's left behind? And then furthermore, what can we do to keep the marathon going?
I know you smart. I don't know if you asked this. So I got to meet him. I met him twice in life.
Okay.
I met him years ago when I was still out here struggling as an actor. I was working at this nightclub as a security guard in Santa Monica. It was him and all his boys, and you know, it's in Santa Monica, predominantly white. So you see all these black folks with Jordans and all this stuff coming up, and like, oh, we can't let them in. And you know, of course, I'm the only black security guard, so they sent me out there. Can you talk to him? I'm like, I see what y'all doing. All right. So we go out there, he's so cool. I'm just like, yo, some of your boys, they can't come in and dress like this or whatever. You know, some of them getting hype, and you know, no man, that's messed up. And he was just cool. And I was like, yo, that's a cool dude. I knew about him, but I'm an East Coast rapper dude. So I was like, yeah, you know, he's cool. Then the Wednesday before he passed away, that Sunday, he came to set because his love, Lauren London, is the star of our show, Games People Play. And the last day on set, he was there. First off, some people's vibe, when people's energy precedes them, when they vibe precedes them, it's such a cool thing. Dude, so settled in, you talk about identity, so settled into who he is. Some people, especially in Hollywood, we feel like we gotta overcompensate or we gotta downplay. My dude was just Nipsey. Wow. And you just go, yo, what up? Hey, how you doing, cuz? We just talking, and just, that's it. One of the coolest cats I've ever met in my life. So Wednesday and just doing it, I was just like, and seeing Lauren giggly self, all, you know, it was just a beautiful, warm moment. And then Sunday, I have self-care Sundays, which I suggest everybody do. You know, I go get a massage or something. You got to do that. And I got out, and my foster brother, he's a big Nipsey fan. Like, I've only became a Nipsey fan in the last year. When his album came out, that dedication, that grinding on my life.
It's my favorite song.
Like that just, I was like, yo, I messed with this dude. Then I started doing research, and I was like, hold up, this ain't just some West Coast rapper cat. Because not being from Cali, if you in Cali, you know. I didn't realize the worldwide impact. I was like, yo, he's doing this. He's in tech. He's in real estate. I'm like, this dude is on something else. And started watching his videos. And so to answer your question, like just with the impact, I was like, keep that marathon going. Like, you gotta give back. Like, you know, some people, it is a little scary when you go back in the hood. When you think different and you move different, people look at you different, and that's not always necessarily a good thing. And I think that's what's with him. You know what I'm saying? When you in the same level as people, and so I think that's unfortunately why a lot of that happens to him. But with that being said, still giving back, pouring into your community, not forgetting where you've come from. That's the most important thing. And for me personally, it's like, your identity doesn't have to be what the world wants you to be. Your identity doesn't have to be one thing. You don't have to be labeled. Labels are good for one thing. They're good for limiting. They limit us. And so he's not just a rapper. Dude's an entrepreneur. He's a real estate mogul. He's this. He's a tech group. He's all of that. And the legacy left behind. To have a funeral at Staples Center. The last time I saw that was Michael Jackson.
Exactly.
To understand, to be putting that same legacy at 33, which I don't want to get.
With only one album?
One album.
Out?
Like, I don't want to get too philosophical, but I think somebody else, I don't know if his name's Jesus, but died at 33 or something. I don't know if there's some connection, whatever it is.
There's been a lot of speculation about that. How do you feel about that?
I mean, you know,
people comparing him to Jesus.
I mean, I don't see what's wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what he's doing in his community, same thing. You look at what Christ has done, spreading love and, you know, positivity in the midst of all the horrific stuff that was going through in this time. Like, I'm not mad at that. Like, let's not go too far. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, it's justified to be at 33 and to be able to like
have done as much as he contributed. It's just crazy.
It's
people,
silly.
A lot of people can't do that in their lifetime. So to be able to achieve that amount at 33.
But a lot of people don't even strive to achieve that. That's the dope thing, to be able to truly understand your impact and not limit, because he wasn't a big industry dude. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't no Drake or J. Cole or Kendrick where all around the world. But it was greater than that. It was greater than the music industry. Like, I knew he impacted LA and all that, but like the worldwide effect, I was talking to my brother, my foster brother, who's always been a Nip fan. I was like, man, like, if I can have a quarter of that impact that he had, because that's where it's at. Like, it's
speaking
amazing.
On having that kind of impact, what do you want your legacy to be after your work here is complete?
What do I want my legacy to be? Oh my, that's a good question.
When you're no longer here, what would you like people to say about you and your memory? How do you want people to remember you?
How do I want people to remember me? What is my legacy? Just my work. I don't really care if it's attributed to me. Whatever it's my writing, whether it's my acting, my speaking, my coaching, I just want people to operate from a position of love, not fear, not hate, not jealousy, not envy, but literally, like, God's put enough for all of us to have what we're supposed to have. We get off track when we start wanting stuff that's not supposed to be before us, and that's when the jealousy and envy comes in. But if you operate from a position in love, if you stay in your lane, like, that's what I want people to know, like, just stay in your lane. Like, overall, you're worth it. You're enough. Like, I think so many people, you are enough. Like, if people can just digest that, I'm enough because my love and stuff, everything, my worth comes from such a higher power. I'm enough, so I don't have to compete with you. I don't have to compare to you.
Right.
I'm enough, you're enough. We can occupy the same space. We can both go get it and get what's supposed to be for us.
Amen. All right, well then on that note, let's have some fun.
All right,
so we're going to play a quick game.
All right.
I'm going to ask you these questions. Don't think about it.
Okay.
Don't ponder.
Okay.
Give me the first thing that comes to your head.
Got
So
you.
rapid fire, okay?
All right, let's do it.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
If you could have witnessed anything in the Bible, what would you have wanted to see?
Oh my God, I know it sounds crazy, but the crucifixion of Christ.
I agree. All right, last question.
All right.
You got to make it good.
All right, what we got? What we got?
If you could ask God any question, what would you ask him?
Why do you allow so much suffering without specific answers as to why?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
think I think that goes into faith, not knowing the answer to that. That's what builds our faith, not knowing why we're going through stuff until we look back in retrospect. But I would just ask God, like, there's so much pain in the world, like, what's your bigger plan for all this? Because I know there's a plan for it. I know it happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But that would be my honest to God answer.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for the interview. So tell us how we can follow you and find you, and then close us out.
All right, yo. You can find me Montivation, yes, motivation, Montivation, Montivation on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Don't Facebook message me because you won't hear from me for a month. DM your boy. You can find me there or my website, montivation.com. And of course, Games People Play, BET, April 23rd. Check it out. Yeah.
Close us out.
All right, yo. This has been Faith and Fame with Brittney Q Hill. Peace.
Everybody me.